This is definitely my largest 3D printing project that I've ever done, just in terms of sheer materials.
Now, I spend most of my time, most of my life, my hours in this space, and I really love it. It has taken years. I've been in here for 11 and a half years to kind of dial it in exactly the way I want it, where it's fun to be in, it looks good on video, it's practical for making videos and projects, it's a practical workspace, and it's really not that big. It's about 12 feet by 12 feet, 3 meters by, no, what is it, 4 meters? 4 meters by 4 meters. And every square inch, every square centimeter really makes a difference. And the room has this little alcove, which I've tried to utilize in the past. What I've had is just a giant heavy-duty whiteboard to try to organize my ideas. And I've always thought, you know, I have all these projects, all these videos and things that I'm working on, and I will keep them super organized, and it never really clicked. It felt like a good idea, but it just wasn't super practical. So this has really just been wasted space. Everything you're seeing behind me, except for the items themselves and the little screws to, you know, attach it to the wall, everything is 3D printed. And in total, it was about 4 rolls of filament, with 3 rolls being for the black, you know, the frame that attaches it, and another roll's worth of stuff for all the little connectors and printed bits and things like that. Even though they're different rolls, altogether it was probably about 4 rolls of filament total, which it's all PLA, so $15 a piece, about $60 total cost, which I think I could probably put up a pegboard wall for about the same price if I got like one of the Home Depot or Lowe's pegboards and put a wood frame behind it. And if I were to get the super popular Ikea pegboard, that would be, I think, $70 minimum just to get the board up and running. And then I have to buy all the attachments to put on there or print all the attachments. So no matter how you slice it in your slicer, this is definitely a cheaper option, which I'm super happy about. And it's a lot more customizable. And here's the thing that really caught my eye. So I was just browsing on MakerWorld a while back, a couple of months ago, and I saw the HSW, the Honeycomb storage wall, which looked really cool. It just looked super fun. I thought it might be a cool project, but here's the biggest benefit. It is a flat profile on the wall. So anytime you have a regular pegboard, the pegboard itself needs to be out from the wall, and then there's usually a frame or a spacer, so that way all the pegs actually have room to like hook and hang behind the pegboard. This one, you mount it flat to the wall, and then everything just gets connected directly to the board itself. The traditional pegboard, the fact that it needs to be out from the wall to make room for the pegs, does not work really well when everything needs to be behind a door where there's very, very little clearance. I think there's about 3.5 inches of space from the wall to the door when the door is closed. So everything in here kind of needs to be set up in a way where I can fully open the door and it doesn't hit anything or bump anything or cause any problems. So I finally took down the big heavy whiteboard, and then there were just so many holes in the wall from past projects that I genuinely do not remember or have any idea what they were from. So I patched those all up, and originally I was just going to leave it the wall color, just the regular wall color. But then I realized since these are see-through, having a cool color behind it would actually kind of change the whole feel of everything. And so I decided to paint this a bright blue, which, you know, I just really like blue. And I did have the thought of printing the base plates in different colors or mix and matching. You could go pretty crazy and pretty custom with this, but I decided to keep it pretty simple with just classic black, and then I can add pops of color with all the different containers and holders and stuff. Now, I did all of this printing on my 3 Bambu Lab printers, so the P2S, H2C, and X2D handled everything, probably most of it being done on the X2D, and the default size of each square, you know, panel is basically the exact same size as the P2S or the X2D build plate. So it kind of worked out perfectly across all 3, and then I printed all the accessories on those as well. I probably should have kept better track of the time that it took, but I would say somewhere between 80 and 100 hours worth of printing total. It was a long time project that I've been working on just sort of in my spare time over probably the last month and a half maybe. And so even though it seems pretty simple, it's made a huge difference for me just in terms of usability and practicality, but also just feeling better. I really love my whole office setup in here, but then I'd leave and walk by this corner and just feel like, well, that's the shame corner. And now everything 360 degrees is something that I'm proud of and that makes me happy. Now, the actual process was pretty simple. I printed out all the base plates first and then kind of sized them out. And fortunately, basically 5 by 5 fit this wall perfectly. All I needed to do was on the ones at the end over here, I just needed to take some snips and just kind of cut off a little bit, and then they fit perfectly. I could have cut that in Bamboo Studio if I, measured things a little better, but it was just kind of easier since it was so minimal. It was just easier to just print them fully and then just snip off a little bit at the end to make sure that it was an exact fit. That was until I realized I installed the entire thing incorrectly. So here's a lesson learned the hard way. I put these up here the wrong direction. I didn't think it mattered because having 5 across and then snipping off the end a little bit fit perfectly on this 46.5-inch wall right here. So that's what I did, which meant I just hung them up like this. See with the points going here? Well, they actually need to be hung up like this with the flat part at the top. And the reason for that is so that all of the inserts are now, they have a flat part at the top, and then everything kind of angles like that. I think I have to redo it. When I flipped everything to be the correct orientation, I actually needed to add about 5 more base plates to fill this space. So in total, it was 30 that I had to print, and then I just needed to trim a little bit more. But it actually worked better in this orientation because originally it was not going to fill up the total blue section here. It was going to kind of have like a little bit border at the top and bottom. And now it actually hung lower than the blue section, and so I did have to trim off some on the bottom as well. And the way that I attached everything was just with these little clips here. So one of them goes into, one of the hex holes, and then you can use this for mounting, and the other one just has space for a screw in it. And so what I found was easiest was to use these to clip a row of base plates together, and then basically put that up on the wall. And there are 3 studs running through here, plus a 4th stud right here. So those screws are anchored into studs, and then the ones in between those, I did use regular drywall anchors for that. And it's funny because sometimes I hear people say like, oh, why are your houses made out of cardboard? Worth noting that I do live in California. I do live in Southern California. For the most part, buildings aren't really allowed to be made out of brick here, so everything is drywall and plaster because of earthquakes, which is also why I don't want to just put a bunch of really delicate stuff here, and that is where my Husky and Craftsman tool benches come into play, because those house a lot of camera gear, a lot of expensive gear, just in case there are those big earthquakes. I don't want all my expensive camera stuff falling off the walls and things like that. My guitar wall, I just kind of hope and pray. Fortunately, it goes together pretty easy, and it is super satisfying because when these plates click together, you really can't see the seam. It's such a smart design. And it's very similar to the Gridfinity system on MakerWorld, or just online in general, where it's one basic design, but then people have taken it and just run with it. So there's all kinds of, remixes and modifications and adaptations. Currently, everything that I have on here, all the little bits that I printed to hang on there, are all pre-existing designs. I would definitely like to go in and design some of my own to maybe more custom fit some bits, but this was good enough. Even stuff like this keyboard, I don't know if you noticed, it is, once I point this out, you'll never be able to not notice it. It is slightly crooked, and that is because those keyboard holders are actually for an Apple keyboard, which is slightly shorter than the Logitech keyboard that I have there. And basically that means I couldn't put the mounts on the exact same level, so one is slightly above the other just to get the spacing right. I don't mind. It's probably something I'll fix in the future if I want to. But my goal with what I put here, and you might notice there's some empty space up there, which actually makes me really, really happy because I can add to it. The goal is that everything is useful and practical, at least for the most part. Once I saw empty space, of course I was like, oh, I could here's all these collectibles and just fun things, which I did a little bit. Like, I probably don't need my old iPod and Motorola Razr phone on here, but they look neat and they make me happy, so I figured why not. For the most part, everything else is stuff that I use regularly and stuff that I have found myself feeling inconvenienced whenever I need to get it. It's either in a drawer or kind of like up on a shelf somewhere, and I'm reaching and stretching, and now everything is just right here. Like this screwdriver I use multiple times pretty much every single day, and now I can just leave it right there and it's good to go. And then once I was done, I have several of these Pavo tube lights right here, which I really like, and I decided, hey, I could put that up here, because check this out, I can also very easily just push a button, and now I can do different, I don't want to do that one. Look at these. Look how cool that looks. Because that's another thing is, for the most part, when I make videos, I have cameras sort of here facing that way, like the direction I'm facing right now, and everything looks good. The whole, like 180 degrees, you can point a camera in any direction, it looks great. Sometimes when I'm over at my desk, I have a webcam that's kind of in the corner facing this way, and in the past, it always looked so sad because it was just this blah corner. And now, especially with that light up there, it really looks awesome from every angle. So again, it makes this a much more practical space, and it just makes me happy. These lights, I don't have any power running here. I didn't want to deal with that. This light has like a 15 to 20 hour battery, so if I just have it on when I'm filming something or it's going to be on camera, then I don't need to worry about charging it too often. So it's not super inconvenient. And it does make me happy that there is empty space here, because that just means as time goes on, especially over the next few weeks, what I really want to do is pay attention to every time I'm trying to do something and I feel inconvenienced. Like all those times when there's a bit or a bob, a gadget or a gizmo that you need to grab, but it's like a pain to get. It's not in a convenient location. Is that something I could put on the Honeycomb storage wall? This is one of those things that on its surface might not seem like the biggest deal in the world, but I promise you it's made such a change to the functionality of my space, but also to just the feel, the mood, the fact that I am happier and it makes me just appreciate the space more. I think that's absolutely worth it. And the fact that this, despite the time and 4 rolls of filament, was still significantly less expensive than something I would have bought from pretty much any store, and way more customizable as well. And I did mention the Gridfinity system, so if you want to check out some of the practical prints that I've printed in the past, that's a lot of alliteration, I have this video for you to check out right here.